Let's get to the bottom of this one. Unspoken truths that I miss one. Tap into the minds of the people, rather acknowledge before I dismiss one. Atheists, Muslim, Christians, Buddhists, they all got usage. All got perspective, it's a collective. Get to the bottom of the truth is. With our hearts uncovered. Where you detox from all of the lies you smothered. What them tries could have killed you, but with faith you recover. Yup. Peel off the makeup, we finna take off. Never said it'd be a cakewalk. Meditate till we charged up. Execute goes regardless. Decalcify my pineal. Breaking language barriers, we saw millennials. Planets passing age rotations, down me we owe. So down me we know. Sometimes we can't be slow, that's why my ears open. Every drop you add could complete the ocean. Speak up, play your part too. Been vulnerable, it's so hard to.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kimberly with Unseen Twisted Truth. We are the People's Podcast. I got Henry. I got Tim Crans, and I don't have my glasses on. My bad. I got Tim Crans.
That's definitely Tim.
Peace.
And I got Gilly.
Hello.
And then who's this down here? The Bubble DGH. Yay.
We got the DDH bubble.
DDH Bubble. We'll hopefully get some more people. But anyways, nonetheless, if not, it is what it is. It's about to have a good conversation. So, Tim, what do you think about the title? Mirroring self through others.
Yeah. It's one of those arguments to me, like there's people that will seek out, they'll seek out what they're looking for in themselves that they might lack. And then there's some people who seek out people that have things that match exactly what they can do.
Okay. Gilly, what is your opinion on this conversation?
I see both sides of its relevancy, or
just what's the title? What's the title mean to you?
What does it mean to me? It means that we tend to see ourselves through the lens of others, or at least there's a belief that we see ourselves through the lens of others, whether it be through projecting something personal onto them or taking it on ourselves. And similar to what Tim said, seeking out sometimes those things that we want to align with or that we do align with.
Okay. SGF Graham, welcome, family. Welcome.
Peace. How y'all doing?
All is truly well. So mirroring self through others. What's your opinion on that title?
From the positive or negative aspect?
It don't matter, just your opinion on the title. What's it mean to you?
From what I read and what I comprehended from what I read and from what I believe, mirroring, as long as you're mirroring the right person or the right attributes, not even the right person, just the right attributes, it can be good. You see self-reflection, especially if it's something that you're already doing. You can see how people are reacting to it, how they feel, and you can be like, oh snap, I do those type of things. This crowd just hasn't seen it. So okay, this is how people with my attitude, this is how far they can go when it's self-reflection. It can be dangerous if you see a situation where it almost works, where being a negative person being a negative person gets that person what they need or what they want. And you see that, especially a child will see their mom or their dad mistreat somebody and get what they want and think that's how they're supposed to go out into the world. You know, so it just depends on what you're mirroring, I guess.
Okay. Henry, what's your opinion on the title?
I'm gonna say I agree with everybody. I'm gonna stick with SGF Graham said with kids. You know, I found personality mirroring to be really useful growing up when I was like drunk and manipulative. You know, I could get into people's good graces. It's because I really was lonely. So personality mirroring was something I did. I kind of adapted traits from people around me, and you know, I had a Chicago Bulls and a Hornets jersey, both of them. I had a Gravedigger jersey. I had a Red Wings jersey, and I did not just watch sports, right? So I don't know, mirrored people's personalities. Uh, I guess coming into my own existence in the last few years, I've realized that that's useful, but if you do it too much, it kind of detracts from yourself. You know, I like the mirror. I don't know. Maybe that's some personal experience a little bit. That's just how I view it. It's one of the facets of it, and there's a lot of facets.
Okay. Okay. So what I see though, and when I come up with the title is after you be with somebody for so long, you tend to get their demeanor and you start acting like them, looking like them, becoming them without even intentionally do it. You just tend to mimic them and become one with them. And is it because you are seeing yourself through them? Or is it because, you just tend to you just tend to pick up their traits and stuff because we mimic people. We try to be like someone else constantly, not on purpose.
Could
You
be
know,
neurobiological too.
it could be.
I
In
mean,
in my
that's how children learn, is through imitation.
I wanted to speak on my opinion on what I thought of the title, and then we'll get into subject. I that's what I go to everybody. Appreciate that, but no, you're right. It could be, and then it could also another thing that I was thinking is I've seen people that label me and call me things and put me in a box is because of no one can be just nice. No one could really care that much. Nobody could really just want to support somebody like, without wanting something in return. This is their ideal. Now, is it because they feel that way about themselves because they can't do it? Or do they really honestly believe that that's just how people are? People want something in return or they don't care. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be a great conversation. We're going to have a good conversation, and I want everybody to get into the conversation. I just wanted to give my input of what I believe for the title and the reason why I come up with it. Go ahead, Gilly. Finish saying what you were saying because it's a good point you were making.
Well, I had actually thought that you had made a good point about that. And the reason why I say it could be neurobiological is that because that is how we grow. That is how we learn from infancy. We imitate, that's what primates do. That's what people do. And so there could be, it could even go as far as, do we have choice, or are we sort of programmed by the environment around us, and the DNA that we carry? And so I think that it's nearly impossible to stay within a group, even for group harmony, and maintain complete 100% whatever, without change. We imprint on each other, we impact each other, we help each other grow. We also hurt one another, we help each other regress, and not always nefariously. It just, we cannot exist within with one another without impacting. Does that mean that you automatically are going to mimic? No, I think there are also things that go on with us chemically that make us go the other way, and instead of mirroring, go contra mirror. But I don't think that, I think there's a lot of or subconscious things going on.
So Tim, Tim, do you believe in that? The quote, "Monkey see, monkey do."
I do to an extent, and it kind of goes along with what Gilly was saying. I feel like there's for some reason there are some people that are alphas and some people that are, not alphas, and the alphas tend to be the ones that want to lead other people, and then there's the people that they want to be led, even if they might say they don't. And it's kind of like one of those things. It matters who the monkey is that's that is seeing the other monkey.
SGF Graham, what's your take on that? Because you have a whole opinion on the whole alpha thing, and to put themselves in a box.
Them alphas don't be shit to me, but that's a whole nother story. This ain't about them. Um, um, it is a bunch of followers, like he said, and it is a bunch of leaders that tend to portray as what the alpha, what is called an alpha. Whether it's right or wrong, they're confident, and people mirror that. They should mirror the confidence, but they mirror the judgments that are made. And right or wrong, they see this person being followed. They decide to go into that path. So I definitely agree with them.
Do you have another device on in the background? Because there's hecka feedback. Hecka.
Nah, I'm just on my headphones.
Oh, okay.
May I say something on the alpha thing?
Yes.
I think it's important to note that the person who came up with the alpha theory also spent a good majority of his life trying to correct himself, that he was wrong in his observations, and that he actually made a big mistake and spread a lot of misinformation. So I just think that it's important to note that if we're going to mention the alpha thing. And when I was talking about picking up on people's behavior or traits or whatever, I was really looking at it as an equal playing field in a lot of ways, because I was talking about a subconscious or neurological component that we have in us that we may not even recognize or pick up on. It's just part of our interaction and part of how we affect each other.
And there is a flip side to that, and that's the flip side is what Tim was talking about. I know someone and I too was just this way. It wasn't just that I knew somebody. I too did this when I didn't love myself and I didn't know who I was, and I was actually embarrassed to be me. I tried to be other people because I didn't like who I was, and I looked up to them, idolized them. I seen them in a different light than I seen myself. So I tried to become just like them or have the same traits as them, and I started liking the same things as them and stuff like that when I was younger because I wanted to fit in so bad. I wanted acceptance. I wanted to belong. So I felt I was an outcast because I talked too much. I asked too many questions. I took things apart. I was intuitive, and the people around me couldn't handle that. So to me, I felt there was a problem with me. So not knowing self, not liking self, that I ended up picking up traits of others that I idolized. So it is the weaker and the stronger. For me, they were stronger than me. It was and I'm going to use the word alpha, but it wasn't the whole alpha theory. It was the fact of I believed that they were above me, superior to me. So I wanted to be like them until I learned to know who I was and how they were actually just putting on an image too. What's your opinion on all that?
There's a lot of people that look at me like an alpha, and there's a lot of people that look at me like a beta. I'll just say it. Alpha in the streets, beta in the sheets. I don't know. Maybe that's something to say about that. But
Betas eat each other though.
yes, and I would like to consider myself quite beta-like in form, of course, with the fish. But there is, like most things going on inside your head, there is a conscious and a subconscious aspect to it. We like when I was little, I really liked Dragon Ball Z. I wanted to be like the Dragon Ball Z guys. specifically Vegeta. So I started walking around. I tried out using the Vegeta voice, and my friend shot me down immediately. He says, "Why you sound like Vegeta? Why are you talking like Vegeta?" And I was crushed, and I felt very small. I'm like, that mirroring didn't work exactly well. But like I said on one show, I used to let people hit me. Finally, I just started letting people hit me for money in the bathroom, and I noticed that society and people and kids and my peers were violent. So if I let them exert violence on me for fun, that would be interesting. Maybe I picked that up at home too because I had a violent household. But that conscious and subconscious aspect, I think the subconscious is quite strong. I'd like to know what people's thoughts on that. What's more strong? You see something you like it, or your brain tells you deep inside of you that you need to adopt these traits for safety or whatever.
Tim Crayons, do you believe that the subconscious is strong, that it makes you think that you need this?
I don't know. I feel like everybody's different, and I only know about the culture that I've experienced here in the United States in some of the small communities that I've lived in. So, like, I can only think that even in other countries, it would be even completely different. There's countries that still use a caste system, for example, and some people go against it even there. They're born into it and go against it, but I don't know. I don't know enough.
I can feel that. What do the comments say?
Let's jump on these comments. King Ken, thank you for stopping by, and thank you to everyone else who is stopping by. That's the way I feel, he said. And now that was a sentiment from back when we started. And I'm sorry, I can't remember. We get a little further here, and that's how people are. And that was in regards to what you said in the beginning of the show. People just be like that. And then we got Kendall Cobb. What's your opinion on this?
Yeah, what's your opinion, Kendall? Her kitty's not doing well.
Oh dear.
But yeah, so I can see how people tend to do it both ways. I can see how the subconscious will pick up, and the subconscious thinks, that because anytime it becomes a thought, it has to be action becomes something. So in your subconscious, even when you try to not think of it or externally, internally you're still dwelling on it when you're sleeping and whatnot without knowing it. And then you have those moments of like deja vu moments, and you're like, oh, I swear I thought about this already.
Yeah, dream job vu is terrible.
And yet it's not. It's your subconscious constantly playing it over and over and over and over. I remember having the same dream constantly until I started no longer having that dream. And when I stopped having that dream, I stopped drinking, and I stopped putting myself in fight or flight situations. And I tend to did that a lot. I don't know if it was for acceptance or the adrenaline or the thrill of maybe something could happen until something did happen. Or maybe it's just the toxicity that I subconsciously was used to by seeing it my whole entire life, that's how I felt numb, comfortable. You know what I'm saying? Because I always put myself in situations where a person was aggressive with me, where they may beat me, but don't beat me, but yet treat me a little bit like crap. But I've seen violence my whole life, fighting my whole life, and cheating my whole life. So through my family, that I thought that, even though I didn't like none of that, maybe subconsciously I was willing it. You never know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. What do you think of that? Do you think that SGF Graham? Do you think that sometimes we can subconscious think of things and like want it to happen, but not want it to happen?
Of course. The subconscious is the most powerful thing because the subconscious don't have nothing to do with you thinking. That's your conscious. If you're thinking it, that's your conscious. Your subconscious, it you just notice that you're doing something that you picked up from somebody else, or even if it's just a laugh. I caught myself laughing like one of my friends I haven't seen in years, and I just stopped the laugh and was like, "What the hell made me do that?" I just called him and just spoke to him or whatever. Like, but it's just it came from my subconscious and came up, and I laughed like him. I didn't mean to do it. I wasn't thinking about it. It could have been something dangerous. Luckily, it was something as simple as a laugh, but you know, that's the power of the subconscious. You got to be careful with what you surround yourself with.
Mm. Gilly, what's your take on that?
Well, I think that I used to say one of my fatal flaws was that I could not change myself in order to fit in. I just am not good at that. Um, at least I don't think. There's always something, and maybe that's in my own thinking, that still says I'm still, there's something different. I'm still on the outside in some ways or whatever. And I guess I just always wished for a world in which we could influence each other and support each other without having to mimic with one another, and find acceptance and belonging in that sort of autonomy and diversity. I also know that mirroring, or the concept of mirroring, has been used as a way to shift blame sometimes from people exerting their power or their will over others, or projecting something that they're doing personally onto another person, blame shifting, uh, things like that. And particularly if you're used to dynamics of relationships where there is this imbalance of power, particularly if there's an imbalance of wills, that a that emotional and economical and psychological tactics and manipulations can be used to make a person feel as though they're mirroring these qualities, or holding these qualities that they actually aren't. And you can actually develop, the person can actually develop to a point of believing, or at least not having any sureness anymore of who they are, because even if they had a strong grip on who they are and who they believe they are, if it's attacked enough, if it's undermined enough, if it's assassinated enough, you can, and if the environment begins to reflect that, the relationships around you begin to reflect that, then it's going to make a person question very hard their own identity, and how much was projected onto them, and how much do they take ownership of. And and that's a really hard and difficult place to be too. It's a really confusing place to be.
So you made a really good point, and I want to address that before it gets too far. And I also want to go back to the reason why I made a post that I made today. Um, Without knowing subconsciously, I'm knowing subconsciously, because subconsciously I knew that this was the reason why I was making it, without knowing that it pertained to tonight's thing. I made a post about being a culture vulture. As a culture vulture, I have no ops. I will swoop down and mimic anyone. And I was being facetious and condescending and just, whatever. But at the end of the day, what subconsciously, it made a point to what we're talking about tonight without me trying to. And I love the fact that you brought up the fact that you can do it so much that you become delusionalized to what reality really is and to who you truly are. You mimic someone so much that you forget that you are you, and that there's a separation between you and the other person. If you tell somebody so long that they are something, they're going to believe they are. And that's why I believe that I was no good as a child, because I was told that my whole entire life, and I was only wanted for one thing and good for one thing. So being told that my whole life, I tend to believe that, and that I was acting like that, and I mimicked that, and I tend to forget that I was actually a person, and I actually had my own opinion, and I was entitled to all my own beliefs. And you might want to read that off your phone or something here, or it's long. You want to do it here?
We're gonna get a comment up
This is
here.
Kendall's. You're on my thing. I probably will.
Oh,
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. I can read this right up here. Kendall Cobb drops in and says, Hiya. When it comes to subconscious and wanting to be other people, it adds on to a different delusional aspect on how we are in life versus on who we are and how we were meant to be. No matter how bad we want to be like other people, it's up to you how you choose to be. when it comes to the mirror self-reflection, it's up to you on how you want to do better for yourself. No one else is going to do that for you.
So true. So true. And what did my brother say
Ooh, highlight.
in this one?
Hey, what's up, family?
Hey, peace and love, Ty.
What's up, Ty?
Peace and love.
Thanks for dropping in. Thanks to everyone for dropping in.
No, Kendall, that's a good point.
I've been there a few times myself, Kendall says, wanting to be something I'm not when I learned quickly. 100% just fully yourself and honest.
And that she made a really valid point too, and that's where I was going with it, that you tend to forget that you are somebody because you're wrapped up trying to be the image that you wanted people to portray and see, that you tend to forget that that's not who you are.
I spent my whole life like that. I literally watched football. I did all of this stuff. Fell into so many cliques and things and drinking, especially and shit like that. And it's just none of that was me. And it sucks now because I really am all about being myself. It's okay to mirror things. Like if I hear a cool bass lick, I'm gonna be like, "That's a cool bass lick. Let's see if I could kind of throw that in a little bit." So that's fine. But yeah, I can't lose myself anymore. It's just scary.
What do you guys
And
think about how this pertains to like our young people? Like I was thinking about that, like how, for example, like I grew up and I was always taught, if you see something bad, you tell somebody about it. But like my son had, and I've met other people's kids. My sister's got kids. Both my sisters have kids around the same age, and they're all saying that kids nowadays are, you don't narc, you don't, all this stuff. And like as far as mirroring, how do you think that that goes? Especially when it comes to like people that are into being influencers, influencing kids.
no, I agree completely. I think kids are confused this day and age because, 1 minute they say, tell somebody if you see something wrong, and the next minute you're a narc and a tattler. Like, what do you do? Tattling, snitching? And then they get outcast for snitching. So I think it messes with the younger generation completely, whether to do right or to do wrong. They're talking about, we talked about this earlier today, my husband and I, when we talk about Dracos and all this other stuff on in songs and stuff like that, that the kids tend to want to do that. They pick that image up and they start talking about that kind of stuff, and they don't know nothing about that. I seen a video, a
Yeah,
TikTok
you wouldn't
video.
believe it unless you saw it.
Yeah.
Honestly, I champion kids. I have interactions. I walk around and I go do things. And the last couple of kids I talked to in Manfield, there was this group of them who watched. They approached me. I was playing guitar in the park, and they said, "Hey, would you play us a song?" I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "We're gonna all sit down and we're going to listen and just enjoy it and not interrupt you." And I'm already almost in tears because Tim, you guys know, you ever had someone just talk to you while you're playing? It's a nightmare. It's like, what, you don't give a shit. These kids sat there and they listened to me play, and then they wanted me to play another one, and they were clapping and so respectful. And then they wanted to play the guitar. And you know what? I don't let people grab my guitar too often at gigs and shit where everyone's drunk. I let these kids pass that guitar around, and they were so respectful. They talked about not breaking it, not smashing it, and when they handed it off very carefully to each other. And then they left. It was wonderful. And then they came back. The girl came back a minute with her friend and said, "You got to see this guy play." I played them both another song. And I keep talking to kids, and they're just awesome, right? I think everyone's not listening to them enough, and they are mirroring all these people they're seeing. But I think they're smarter than we give them credit for.
For sure.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, what if you would have been a dick and been like, guys, go away. I'm trying to, or no, don't touch my guitar. You could have been like that, and then they could have had a sour place in in their lives. But I think the world needs more good people, or people that to not be afraid to be good. I think a lot of people want to be good. Most people want to be good and be nice to people. I just I don't know. I think that some people just have more of a hard time changing because they don't want to feel weak or something. I don't know.
That is a problem.
You know what I find, like I was gonna say earlier, is that this little boy, he was like 2 years old, and he did this TikTok thing, and he was saying how much he would fight for the PUSSY without knowing what it is. He will fight for it. He will die for it. He'll do anything for it. He's 2. He One, don't know what that is, and 3, I doubt he feels that way about it at 2. And it's the image he hears from a song, and it's so sad that that kids can go through life and they want to pick up something that's trendy, that parents will be quick to bust out their camera and record it for clicks and views instead of recorrecting what the kid is saying. And then they share it to get more likes and stuff. And I don't know what's the difference anymore. I can't tell you if something's a skit or it's real, because people are so fake these days on everything on Facebook and YouTube and TikTok for images and for likes, for views. So I can't tell you whether or not if something is real or not. But if that was a real thing, your choice was to bust out the camera instead of recorrecting your 2-year-old child for views.
I think bad things happen. I think, there's both sides to everything. There's good kids and there's good kids raised in bad environments.
Yeah, there's a lot of people out there that have kids but are on drugs and are impaired as far as what they can what they're allowing themselves to be as far as a parent. Sometimes it's against their will. It may be prescriptions for an injury or something like that, but sometimes it is, there is that going on as well, and that probably does get impressed onto the children which they're taking care of as they grow up, depending on how long they're exposed to it.
And you're not kidding. It's I don't know. I don't like just talking about myself all the time, but my mom drank, I drank. I don't know. I could have made a different choice, but I was really young. It was impressionable. And I see it happen a lot, I've hung out with people and I don't like the way they act around their kids. I'm disgusted. I won't call anybody out, but I've seen a lot of bad shit, and of course that produces criminals. And of course, exposing children without proper knowledge to things like violence and rap music and lyrics and heavy metal talking about ripping people to pieces and shit like that. You got to have a basis for understanding from what is right and wrong, and not enough people are teaching right and wrong. I played GTA, I watched Grand Theft Auto, I watched Quentin Tarantino movies growing up, and I'm not jabbing needles into people's tests and doing whatever they do in GTA. I can't say.
So
Yeah.
Ty Lewis said, Kendall said, heck, I want to be a mermaid. Ty Lewis said, this shit is hard for some people. Being themselves, that's 100%. He said, pretending, I can't see it. Pretending
is at an all-time high.
Is at an all-time high. And then he said, we all have choice. I can't read it.
And we all have a choice to make theirs based off another person's opinion. Yeah, that happens a lot. It happens with kids and adults.
And it does, and it's for clicks, likes, shares. Now, we were talking earlier today about a lot, my husband and I, about a lot of things, and one of the things is that he was talking about how he was telling a story about 50 Cent, and how 50 Cent had a conversation with somebody. I don't remember who it was. And the guy was like, yeah, well, he's not that type of person. He's not from the streets. He's not going to come up there and say anything. 50 Cent come up to him and with a bunch of people, and he said, I may not be what you think I am, but let me tell you something. Doesn't mean I won't get there and go there. He said, I just trust and believe I will go there. And they got really close and made a lot of songs and stuff from that. But at the end of the day, just because someone talks about it in their song, they may not live it now, doesn't mean they hadn't at one time.
Yeah.
Or that they could relate to that.
Right. And I don't think we should gatekeep topics like that. We should just make sure that kids know the difference and know what's right.
And the kid got in trouble for stealing cars from Grand Theft Auto first came out, remember? And he stole cars and damaged a bunch of cars and stuff like that, and his parents blamed it on the game. Now, I see a lot of issues with that. One, why are you letting your kid play the game that much that you are not stopping him from knowing that the difference between reality and a game? And two, what age are you allowing your child to play that such a violent game in such an aggressive way? Pick and choose when you want to be a parent, I guess, or always be a parent and parent them until they learn on their own what's right and what's wrong. That's just my opinion, though. What do you think of that one, Gilly?
Well, I had very few rules for my kids, but among them were what I called the garbage in, garbage out rules. And the garbage in, garbage out rules pertain to what we watched, pertain to what we played with, pertain to what we spent our time on, what we ate, etc. And it was just, a general framework for the fact that what we consume, whether it be mentally, emotionally, or physically, is essentially what we're going to put out to a certain extent. And yes, there is lines. You don't want to run so far away with it that you're censoring things and you're not taking art for art's sake. But when it comes to children in particular, because we understand how they develop and learn, because we know that it's through imitation and through validation and through reinforcement of those behaviors, whether it be positive or negative, since we know that, we should be very careful. At least I thought I should be very careful with what I let my kids consume. And sometimes my kids weren't happy about that. Sometimes it made them a little bit outcasted in their friend groups. And sometimes I was off on what they should or shouldn't be taking in. Sometimes I went too far and I had to dial it back and be like, look, I know I said I had a problem with it. I've since then deconstructed, or I since then learned, and here we go, and I'm sorry. But I think that we tend to talk about kids these days as if we didn't have the same similar experiences to them. And I think what happens more often is we just forget what those experiences feel like. For me, there wasn't social media, but there were PSAs on all the time. The shows that we watched were geared towards teaching common values of society and culture. They talked about drinking and teenage pregnancy, and they talked about all of these issues and put forth a framework to guide us.
Yeah, I watched like Full House.
Yeah, Full House, but there was also things like Degrassi. Oh my gosh, I watched Degrassi from the time I was in middle school, and then started watching it again with my daughter, who was in middle school at the time, and I, until they took it off the air, I was a diehard Degrassi fan. And they talked about all these issues that parents weren't talking to kids about, except for through the media that they were creating for us to then consume. So I think that, before we get so far overboard saying kids these days, I think the difference is that our things could be turned off. Their phones go with them everywhere that they go. Therefore, any form and all form of media and influence with them everywhere they go. And I think that that's the difference between when some of us were younger at progressing speed or changes, progression, and
Technology
where kids are today. Right. Technology, it changes so quickly. When I started playing video games, when video games came out, and I was in the Super Mario generation, was it violent? Yeah, sure. You're killing toads and turtles and throwing fireballs and falling in lava.
Millions of them.
It's violent, but it was so far from reality. Whereas by the time my older kids were, which they're not that much younger than me, my older kids were, introduced to the video games, suddenly the video games took on a more realistic feel. and what you tend to do when you see personified characters is relate to them. That's just our human nature, is to try to
Okay.
relate to and understand.
Okay though. We're talking about children real quick. I want to read this one comment, and then I want to get to this point. What did Ty say?
We gotta what's this? Oh, it was up there. With the youth, it's simply environmental.
And that's true. Now, with that being said, what about these grown people that have the VRs or they live in this now what is it? Grand Theft Auto has this thing now. It's not even Grand Theft Auto.
A lot
It's
of games have VR.
no, it's not VR. It is where you have this own world, you create this own environment, you live inside of it. It's not Grand Theft Auto. What is it? It's a lot of people are playing, but anyways, you can steal cars and stuff and beat up cops, and there's hookers and all this other stuff. But anyhow, it's something like Grand Theft Auto. It's
Saints Row.
but it's no. They have a new Grand Theft Auto. It's something called something City or something. But anyhow, so they live in this world, and this guy said his online girlfriend from the game gets mad when he spends too much time in reality with his wife. They have online jobs where you build a business. It's a Grand Theft Auto, but it's something else called something. But anyhow, what's this say? Maybe they're gonna say what it
Henry
is.
Schul, addiction
Oh.
specialist.
No, never mind. I thought they were gonna say what it was. But anyhow, so there's this game.
So you're getting addicted to technology. You're living a life completely in technology.
Okay, there you go. Ty said it's its own server. Yes, they have its own server, and you live in this game, and you have your own server and stuff like that, and you have a real reality. You can collect real money off of it. You can have a real concert. Your music gets played on there, and you have a real concert. You sell tickets to this real concert that you're doing on this online
What
thing.
am I doing here?
That's what I'm saying. And so people are living their lives in that. They have a real 9 to 5 job where you get money and everything, and that it takes away your whole reality of real reality.
Fucking goofy.
And he was saying that, his online girlfriend was getting upset because his character was a famous rapper and he's not, and his character also was a drug dealer, made a lot of money, and ran his own server and had his own little clique. That his character,
Virtual crap.
it was insane. It's insane. He spent lots of time and money, real money, on this job in this game. It is a Grand Theft Auto, but I forgot what it's called.
So is it good or bad?
It's like Sin City something.
What do you guys think?
And they do it off their computer, and they live in it.
Bots. Lots of bots on everything.
Have you heard of that, SGF Graham? Oh no.
Oh no, Graham. God. What do you?
SGF Graham, have you heard of that before? Oh,
he gone.
We'll get back to him.
We'll get back to SGF Graham. I don't know what everyone thinks, if it's good or bad.
I don't know. Out of me.
Yeah, it's scary.
I mean,
it's extremely scary.
Then you think about AI, and then you think about how are we modifying the human brain and the human personality when we no longer have to worry about whether we're mirroring each other. We can just project it onto some virtual reality. And if we don't like the way it's reflecting back, we can click it out of our world or deprogram it from our device. And we can have whatever traits we want to see mirrored back at us, whether it's a reflection of reality or not. And that lack of human contact has to have effect on the human brain. Just to be a little personal, I've been agoraphobic for probably about 6 months now, maybe a little less, increasingly so. And it affects my mental health big time, not being around people. And I have my reasons that I can't seem to break out of that. I'm trying to, but as far as how it affects my mental health, how it affects the world I see and the way that I see the world, I mean, how can it be influenced by pretty much anything but media?
So, SGF Graham, are you back now?
In the meantime, Ty Lewis is fucking terrible.
It is
It is
terrible.
Now, what if we could start fighting wars like that, though? What if we could diminish body counts from actually conflicting with people and move in a direction where a lot of things are done like
You
that?
don't think that
That's
there's already that
fight.
kind of warfare going on?
I'm sure there is.
I'm sure.
I'm sure there is. I'm
I
sure
mean,
there is.
with there were things about the Russians hacking our social media and spreading information, and there are things about our own government spreading misinformation.
Yeah, I don't want to get too
taking
far down a
stance on
different
right,
rabbit
I'm not
hole of a
taking a
different.
stance on any
I
of
don't.
that.
I don't want to get too far off the subject down a rabbit hole of something different. That we could save that for another subject because that's going to be deep. And
We
there
talk about
is.
this another day.
Yes, we need to put a pin in that one and get in trouble.
Yeah,
But
put that on the list.
Sorry.
I
It's
know, because I don't want to talk about that right now because there's a whole bunch that Kendall will say. There's a thing now that they're telling Canada to not come here. I want to talk about that next week and discuss a little
Oh,
bit without
boy.
getting in trouble. I just don't want to do it right now. So
Yeah,
I
no,
want
I
to.
wasn't trying to go down that rabbit hole. This is just such a scary subject for me.
It
because
is
I
a
think it
scary
does
subject.
feel like it's something that is beyond our control. It's sort of the
That-
Wild West, the modern day Wild West. And
Yes.
if we're not suited up, so to speak, then we're kind of in trouble. And it really can, the things that you watch can absolutely change the way that you view the world.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
History is cyclical. The internet is definitely in the Wild West phase right now. When it started out with hamster dance, things were okay, but now shit is off the hook.
So SGF Graham's in the subject or in the comments. SGF Graham, you know about GTA having a different reality where you can live in it. It's almost like a virtual reality of it. It's like since something, I don't know what it's called, but it's GTA something. But anyhow, they have a whole life in it. And I was impressed and I was also afraid at the same time because I was impressed because I don't know why a lot of artists don't try to get their music on there to have a real concert, to upload your music on there, to put on a real concert.
Okay.
What'd Kendall say?
Maybe next week we can talk about what's taking place.
Yeah, maybe.
Yes.
Without too much government, because I don't want to get shut down by Mark for real, because I'm just saying. Right now, I want to put out there that we are on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, everything within our small little circle because we were able to branch off. And I don't know why years ago I didn't think of this. We are able to utilize what was in front of us cheap to be able to get us out there. We are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different places right now live. We are live on 8 different platforms. We're live on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, Twitch, and a couple other Facebook pages, and another YouTube.
Oh, I got a couple of mine out there.
So yeah, and I'm excited that I don't know why I didn't think of this a long time ago. What's this say?
What do we got here? Internet trash. So I'm in fans tonight.
So tell me about SGF Graham. Tell me about that. Did you hear about the Grand Theft Auto game where it has the virtual reality where people live out basically into it? What's that say?
We got Red Pill, Rage channel, everyone's social.
Hey, Red Pill.
What's up?
Tell me, do you know about how Grand Theft Auto created this world on the computer that everybody lives inside of? And that you have a whole 9 to 5 job and you have this whole fake life up in there?
If Red Pill don't respond with something, I'll be shocked.
I like Red Pill. I like the fact of what they are a group out there called Red Pill, Green Pill. Go find them on Facebook and on YouTube.
The Red Pill Rage channel?
Yes.
Oh, well, here we go. We got Kendall. Heck, I play GTA 5 at the moment. It helps with my anxiety or frustration issues, and I go for long walks afterwards. Yeah, go for long walks and turn cop cars over, I bet.
It is GTA 5.
Yes, it's fun.
But
I play violent video.
It's insane. This guy was so worried. He was like, he has alarm set for the time he has to go to work on his job in the computer, but doesn't have a real 9 to 5 job. Not in this reality, not in this realm, but he does on the computer. And he got alarm set so that he doesn't miss going to work on his 9 to 5 job. And he's got to be home at a certain time because his online girlfriend from the game.
I mean, it's probably not inherently bad. It's strange and
His wife
I
says she
don't
never
know.
sees him, and why does he spend all his time
Oh,
out in the sound room,
that's
out in the studio, and
that's not.
never? No, he has a obsession with this another life.
I've never heard of being real, but there was a Twilight episode where that happened. I can see people that feel uninteresting about themselves getting deep into something like that. Yes,
Yeah.
that. Yes,
I think
and
that. Go
I
ahead.
cannot read.
Oh,
Sorry,
it's
go
not
ahead,
really.
Gilly. That really threw me for a loop.
I think that the problem when it begins interfering in his real life relationships and his real life interactions. I think that's a big problem unless he just wants to commit to that virtual life and he's comfortable with it. You know, I suppose
Oh
that
yeah,
might be an argument for people that have anxiety.
they're getting divorced.
Hmm?
They're getting a divorce. What's this another one say?
Oh, and
Oh, Ty says my wife would have asked me for a divorce.
What's this one say?
Oh, I didn't. I could only handle those jobs 3 hours pending with the mental statements. That's very demanding.
Oh, so there is online jobs there. Huh? That's insane.
A lot of people are making money online. I'm not exactly sure if that's me.
No, through a game though. That's weird. Hmm.
Well,
Well, anyways, yeah, no, that's not normal. And I did see another thing. This VR thing. This guy found crack, and he was over there smoking VR crack, and he was high as all get out in a park, sober, but not realizing he's sober because the neurons in his brain really thought he was smoking crack. So he emulated whatever that was
placebo.
within his set, yeah, in his
That's a
mind.
whole other podcast.
And that will happen though. It happens. You tend to pick up other things, and that's what Gilly was saying earlier, that you can mimic something so much that you tend to forget that you're in your own reality, and that what's a delusion and what's not. And
well,
that's what it does do.
not even mimicking. People can project things onto you that you're
Yeah.
not mimicking, that you're not embodying, but it can be reinforced so much. It can be repeated and reinforced so much that you are not sure of your own reality, whether what you know of yourself and your actions and your character is true, or what this person and now your world, if there's any sort of other influence that that person has, seems to begin to reflect. And so
No, I've had someone tell me something so much and that I started doubting myself. They were telling me so much that I said something different in a story, and that I must have forgot that I said it. And it was so convincing that I was doubting the fact that maybe I did say it. I was thinking, maybe, did I? No, did I? And I'm over here doubting myself that maybe I did. There's another comment.
There's another kind. I will say that it's two real bad things you can say to a kid are you're dumb and you're never gonna get that. Right? You're never gonna be like that.
Yeah, shut up, stupid.
That kind of stuff. Like that's what you're talking about, Gilly. That shit gets projected on the kids and it fucks them up for life.
Yeah.
Kendall Cobb,
being called stupid, or just being made to feel like a bad or a dangerous person.
Well, I said I was only worth.
Problem.
My dad told me I was only worth one thing, that women are, and that's what I am, and I might as well get used to it and just start acting that way. And I just became a little whore because of that.
Projected stereotypes on demographics of people is a good podcast.
Yeah.
Because this applies to large groups of people who believe things too. Kendall Cobb, those jobs pay a good price to be online for endless hours. It is very common in Japan. Yeah, it is very common.
That's crazy.
Quite common overseas. I will say, the FGS Grand says, I will say boxing with virtual reality goggles and gloves felt real. You have to move your whole body, and I was tired and still felt where I was virtually punched at. I was sold within 2 weeks of buying it. They're getting good.
You know, it is a placebo thing because you can see a thing. They do a study all the time where you put a fake hand, you know it's a fake hand. They see a fake hand. You know it's not connected to you on one side, and you got your real hand on the other side. And they take a knife and they jab that fake hand. Your mind doesn't know that it's a fake hand. And you are in pain. So you think you're in pain.
Your brain has tricked your nerves.
Yeah. And it's so real. There's another comment. And it's so reality. It's highlighted.
Cyber bullies are something else.
Yeah, they are. But it's Tim, it's insane how we can make ourselves feel and think that's something to be real that's not real.
Yeah, and the more we get into what we're not going to talk about today, you know, the more that stuff comes out, it's going to be even harder and harder to know what the truth is, and
True.
and also to know if we're being controlled in some way that is subconscious.
Oh boy.
I mean, there could be a tone playing. You know, there's a million different things. We're trained not to be conspiracy theorists, but
Sure.
so we try to avoid that stuff. But I don't know.
Yeah, too many people have way too much money to not be a conspiracy theorist these days.
But there's a million. There's so much noise mirroring onto us, and the things we hear in repetition, like you're talking about. It'll change the way you talk. The word hella, when hella was popular, when you're hearing it all the time, you'd always use the word hella. Now we barely use the word hella. You know, you'd say bruh now. You know,
Yeah.
but before, you know, you'd have different clicks. Now the whole, you know, Western world is all seeing all the same stuff, so they've all got the same noise coming at them, and then they've got this also have what's in their environment, so it's crazy. The amount of noise is just insane.
So
You got to like try to focus and make sure that you're not hearing too much of one thing.
so here's the thing though, if we look at like monasteries or you know, Buddhist monks who live together or tribal, they all mimic and do the same things, arguably to a more uniform measure than we do. We're bombarded with a lot more diversity, therefore there's a lot more pools to sort of pick from. But that sort of goes back to it being a human quality, and I think it's a human quality to want to belong, and I think it's a human quality to want to feel validated. And if it's not being offered your real life from the people around you who have bought this whole thing, like, I'm not supposed to validate you, you're supposed to find that in yourself. No, we do find that in each other. We find that in things that we achieve either personally or interpersonally. We find that through success relationships or success. And if we're not finding them, there is a wealth of things out there on the internet that are willing to be that validation for you, that are willing to be that group for you, that are willing to be the place that you belong and that you feel that you matter, that your voice is heard. And it becomes a point where whether or not it's reality, it comes second to this inherent need that has not been met, and not everybody knows how to get their needs met. It's not a skill that's learned, and it's not a skill that's normalized. It's very difficult for some people to know how to interact with one another and say, here are my needs, and not feel either guilt or shame or weak or like, you know, they're weird because they haven't picked up things. People need validation. People
You
need
know,
to belong.
you know that it's so bad that we end up being like our parents without knowing we're being like our parents. My dad was an organized hoarder. He kept so many things, and it all had its purpose, and it all had a place, and you never know when you needed it. I have a bag of odds and ends screws and bolts and whatnot, and I don't know what any of it's for, but I do use it often, and I do go through that bag, and I do have that bag's very useful in this house.
Yeah.
It started off from my dad was the same way, but his was a barn. I'm not as
Established.
as my dad
Yeah.
yet, but I will be.
I gotta jump on these comments before we get too far real quick here.
Yeah, I just don't have time to be organized.
No, it's hard. It really is.
I will be.
That's Dion Baby says there's power in words, whether you hear them, speak them, or read them, and that is big.
That's
facts.
true.
And we got Ty Lewis. This should have set up.
It
Yeah, you're
is.
probably right, Ty. I don't know. Facts though. Kendall Cobb, Ty Lewis. Kendall Cobb laughing. Kendall Cobb, don't get me started with them AI robots.
And then this.
And then they can make a fucking picture talk. We are really doomed, y'all.
So true.
Hard to argue with.
So
Well,
true.
there's power in communities. You got to remember that. There's power in communities. And, we have community here. Otherwise, we would be all trying to get off the grid or something, trying to get away from the noise, going to monasteries. But
That's
when
the
you said
next step.
monasteries, I saw myself like sigh, like, oh, that would be so peaceful. And then I
Yes.
thought, oh, I'm going on vacation on Monday.
There you go.
Going to Orlando.
Yay.
Are you? That's where I grew up, Orlando.
Yeah, we're
So
taking
you
the
know.
kids to Universal for like
There you go.
4 days.
Nice.
So you know that that we tend to do that and want that. People from other countries are fighting to get here. Probably not today, but they were fighting to get here, and because they're gonna get ISIS back over there. But anyhow, they're fighting to get here and we are fighting to get there. And I seen a thing where this guy is like, go to Africa, go live in Africa. You can build your own community there, your own everything sanctuary there. And people are afraid to travel outside of their comfort zone for what? To stay here and depend on what? I think that is the smartest decision to go out there and to go off grid and to go and the money's different. Try something new.
People keep trying to drag
There's
me back.
there's big enough pieces of land around our country that you could get off the grid if you had the will and the way. I've seen it done. It's
Oh yeah,
possible.
no, I've seen it done.
Yeah.
I'm not staying in the
Yeah.
United States. So my
Yeah.
opinion is, for my opinion, I don't want to stay in the United States at all. At all.
But you still got to have some sort of community.
Yes, but I don't.
And especially one that can translate off the grid.
Yes, and I will find that, just not here in the United States. I rather prefer to go somewhere else where the food is legal and healthy, and we can live grow our own stuff and not get in trouble for it. Where we can have our own water from the earth and not get in trouble for it. Here's a big old comment.
There is a big old comment. I just wanted to say really quick because I had something to say. Was when I feel down and out and I feel like the world's really killing me, I say you can get really, really far in life with just a combat knife.
Yes.
A lot of people have lost that knowledge. So Kendall Cobb says connection and socializing is what we need to survive. We're communicating creatures with high advantage knowledge. These to what's unrealistic with how technology science versus what's unrealistic with technological sciences now. We just unlocked multiple future platforms. Yes, we're at the cusp of something really incredible. I was just talking about going off grid. Jamaica. And when people come to blow
Ty
that
Lewis
shit
said.
up, then Ty Lewis says, when then people come to blow that shit up, then what?
Then what? And not a lot of places are like that. I seen a thing where they're in Tokyo and they're living off into Tokyo, and I don't know. You're gonna find that everywhere you go, though. Violence, if you're looking for it, it's gonna be at your back door.
Dig.
You're not gonna have to go far.
Go down.
Promise you. What's meant to be shall be, regardless of where you are. You're not a tree. That's just my opinion, though. You can't write history. We talked about that last time on the last podcast on Tuesday. You can't worry about. You have to have the serenity. You have to allow what meant to happen happen, and just know that there's something greater, and I'm protected and covenant until my purpose is served. We're living to die.
I'm living to live.
I'm just saying, you're not getting younger in time. It's
Not yet.
it's just genetically impossible. We're born to live our life and then to go.
I think we can use alligator DNA and reptile DNA to increase our longevity and telomeres. Hold on. Ty Lewis, I'm staying home.
Yeah, you can stay home, buddy.
That's probably safe.
We just
That's
have to
probably-
remember that most people are good. The things that we see on the local news are bad stories of people doing bad things are a very small percentage of the population. And it might look with all the things that we see, it might look like a lot of bad people are out there doing bad things, but it's really most of us are good people that want to be nice and part of the community. And then there's other things going on. Everyone has a reason for what they do, but it's just a small percentage. That most people are good. Everyone remember that. Don't be thinking that everyone's out there to get you. Be cautious, but most people are good.
Now, when they said it was a setup, maybe that is their intent. That's why the news is labeled the way it is. Not labeled, but viewed the way it's viewed because they want it to be. They want people afraid. Honestly, this is the whole part of the subject that talks about mirroring, and that what we see within ourselves, we may see in others, and subconsciously even. I remember, like, I met one of my greatest family members I love to death is my simpatico, and when I first was introduced to her, she didn't like me from me walking up the door without knowing me, because she already had a perception of me. And then once she got to know me, she realized that we mimic each other so much. That's why she's called my simpatico, because it's a like-minded energy. We share the same wants and same aspirations and goals and dreams of life, and we mimic each other so much, we tend to think of each other subconsciously without knowing it, and we end up calling each other at the exact same time a lot. And that's because we are connected. You tend to get that. You get that cosmic connection of things without knowing. What was this? What did Kendall say?
Kendall and Ty Lewis on American soil. I'm Canadian. Kendall says, hey. And Ty Lewis says, nah, sis, I'm talking my shit. So a lot of fun happening in the comments. Cute. I like it. It's because people are good.
People are good, and both of them are great people. Ty
Ty's
Lewis,
talking shit.
Ty
I'm
is my
just a
brother.
good guy.
Ty always does. He is a
He said-
clown of all clowns, and he's the most genuine clown there is. He's got a very genuine heart, and people take him talking crap as in real without knowing that he most of the time is just talking crap. But yeah, that people tend to see themselves in someone, and she had an image within her head of what I was, and without me even knowing who I was. And that's what we do. We tend to look at somebody and just all of a sudden assume, because of what we're feeling within ourselves, subconsciously, maybe it's something that they feel within themselves and not realizing.
Yeah. I got so much more to say, but it's not.
I think we drift towards what makes us feel the best.
Yes.
We want to, yeah, for sure. And that's my circle, is the way it is. I built this team, and I love everyone in it. Go ahead.
Pure connection.
Yes. And what's this say?
Oh, just a bunch of fun emojis from Tyler.
Yay. But yeah, so
I think
let's
that most people are good, or not even necessarily good. I think most people are complex. I think we are as good as the systems that we support and live within, and that even people, I think that even though most people aspire to do good things, most people do not have malignant intentions. Most people would be happy with the success of all. However, we have systems that don't support our individual values, and it's a matter of how do we work in those systems to then create something where it's more reflective of the people, rather than a way for us to forget our values and sort of be pit against each other in competition.
I do think the media is a little bit responsible for changing people's perceptions, and I think that people get very easily swayed with certain things. I agree with that. I like knowing that people think for themselves, but we can't help, as everybody said, communicating and living in a society where we're going to mirror each other. It's trying to make order of that chaos somehow.
And I think that is the intent, though. I don't think they want us to all united. I honestly don't. And that's another subject for another day. I just think that everybody has one purpose in life, and that is to be happy for self. Everybody wants that. Not even a purpose. That's their want. Everybody wants to have a good life. Nobody is thinking, man, I just want to fuck up my life and everybody's around me until they get to that point of misery. Genuinely, everybody wants to do the right thing for themselves. A lot of people don't know what it is. You agree, Tim?
I totally do agree. We do get stuck in our ways, though. You know, being comfortable, and where we get ourselves, where we're at when we are comfortable is, if we're willing to stay there, is what it all depends on.
Mm-hmm. It's a change of belief system. It's change of breaking cycles that a lot of people fear that keeps them stuck in those ways. Acceptance. I was judged when I was looked at my whole life. Henry was judged when he's looked at his whole life. I think a lot of us have been judged just while we're looked at without even knowing who we are, without giving a chance of who we are. So someone said one day, and we had a conversation about you, Tim, about you being a humble, genuine person. Someone said that you're a higher tier individual. And I said that the case may be that you are, but I don't think you see yourself that way. I don't think you see yourself as a higher tier individual. Do you feel that you're a higher tier individual?
No,
Do you feel that you are just like everybody else?
but no.
No. And that's a good thing. And that's what it is. You know, there's this really, really rich guy, like multimillionaire, billionaire, who doesn't wear brand new name brand clothes. He wears holy clothes. He drives the old car that's been getting him through. He lives in a small little house. And he said, the money doesn't make me happy or make me who I am. Neither do these clothes. I am me without all of this. So why would I change because I have all of this? And that was the realest thing I've ever heard. It made me think. What's your take on that, Henry?
I don't like money,
No.
and that sets me apart from 97% of people for a number I just made up. So I suppose people keep saying change your relationship with money. And I'm like, I don't want to fucking kill myself for it anymore. And if I'm gonna kill myself for it, I'm gonna really kill myself for it. But it's gonna be very directed in the way I want it to go.
Unalive, anyhow. Not really.
Yeah, I don't like having to think about money.
Oh, well, I didn't mean it in that aspect.
I know, but they don't care.
I think it'll look the other way.
We'll
But
see.
yes, Tim, like it sucks, right?
I remember, and Gilly may be able to relate to this. I remember when I was younger, one time having a bunch. We lived in a circle, a private drive, suburb area, and it was called Stony Brook Lane. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
I don't remember.
And we had brand new everything, every toy, whatnot, before it came out. We got it, and all that stuff. And then I remember picking through trash and going to soup kitchens and going without food. So I don't think I had a better life with the money or without the money. I think it had to do with me loving myself and finding out who I was through all that. And I think this day, right now, today, is my best life because I was never me back then. I was trying to be what they wanted me to be.
I feel like I'm at that same place in my life too right now.
Yeah.
Really?
I have a very complicated relationship with money, and that's because I've gone through a lot of economic abuse, which a lot of people don't typically think about. My father had a term for it called golden handcuffs, and I think it's pretty self-explanatory how those work. You know, during my marriage, I wasn't allowed access to the bank account. A lot of, and afterwards, I mean, just a lot of economic abuse. When I was younger, there was money in my family, but there wasn't. I didn't see a whole lot of time being spent together, unless it was for a holiday or a funeral or a wedding. And
Facts.
I, whether rightly or wrongly, I had attributed a lot of that to the fact that they were out earning money and living their fancy lives. And so I had this, and conversely, I would see a lot of my peers that didn't have a lot and that struggled a lot. And I would feel guilt for having what I had. I gave a lot of stuff away. I was embarrassed about money. I preferred to shop at thrift store. I preferred, you know, I preferred getting a deal, but that didn't stop me from buying a $300 shirt if I liked a $300 shirt. So I had a very complex relationship with money. I wouldn't say that it's less complex or more complex now. I would say that now, being on the other side of that spectrum, where you wake up every day and you worry about how is this going to get paid, how am I going to continue, where am I going to be in a month, in a year, in a, you know, etc. How am I going to make it in this economy? What can I find that works? I think that that type of stress can create a complex trauma. And so I don't think that money itself is inherently good or inherently bad. I think that greed is inherently bad. I think that overconsumption and lack of respect for the resources that we're given is bad. I think that goes for environmental resources that are just naturally there and provided by Mother Nature. I think there are other cultures that respect the land much better than we do, that we can learn from or relearn from. I think that, you know, for instance, I don't respect the technological resources because I'm terrified of them. So there are probably resources online that I could be taking advantage of that I absolutely stay away from because it's something that is too dangerous in my mind, and that's something I need to work through. I and I think that, you know, there have been times that I've had a lot of money and not known what to do with it, and there have been times that I've had nothing and have had to be very resourceful or lucky. And or lucky is a big part of it, because the reality is the difference between me or somebody who's in an even worse position is luck, is grace, is, you know, it has nothing to do with value. So my relationship to money is incredibly complicated. And I don't, like I said, I don't think money is inherently good or inherently bad. If I were to receive money tomorrow, I would be grateful, and I would hope that I use it responsibly, not just for myself, but for other people that I can impact. But at the same time,
Danny,
I can't give my life
Danny,
away.
before, because you're only on break right now for a couple minutes, and I know Gilly will go for another couple minutes to finish her sentence. She's almost there, though. She's almost to
I'm
the
almost
point.
there.
She was almost there. But what's your opinion on the subject, real quick? Because you only got 10 minutes.
As far as with the mirror in itself, or what you were saying, like how when you are around someone, you can't pick up their traits after so long. I know that I've done that before. Good traits and bad traits. So I think to me that in the mirror in itself, you got to find yourself and then just find yourself and find who you are and try to pick your own route. Now I take pride in it to being one that stays and my lane and created one. And if you pick up good traits with someone, I don't think it's a bad thing. But just try to be yourself as much as you can.
Okay, and then what's your opinion on the whole thing of when you were younger to now? What's the difference?
Yeah, it's just a major difference. So like, there were people that I thought that I wanted to be like and mimic them. And then when I got older, I'm like, it's probably best if I did not mimic them. And then it's cool taking the good things, but like I said, those bad things that you see that you don't think that bad when you're young, when you grow, when you learn and you pick up more knowledge, you realize that at the end of the day, it's just always best to be your own person. You don't have to have anybody else's thoughts and agreements. Yeah, your own.
Okay, and how do you want to end it? What's your positive energy and positive information that you want to pass on before you have to go back?
Yeah, just be yourself. And once you do that, then and people I love the authentic and genuine you. Just remain authentic and genuine at all times.
Well, thank you for coming on. I appreciate you, and I love you, honey.
All right, love you guys. Love you too, man. See you later.
Yay.
Sorry, Gilly. Get your point, babe.
I don't remember my whole point anymore. But it's okay. I think I had gotten there for the most part. Um I don't even remember where we were. I was listening.
You most definitely have a complex relationship with money.
I do have a complex relationship with money. I absolutely do. And a lot of that comes through covert abuse in the economic areas, which none of us are really immune from, because I think that we could even argue that there's those abuses within some of the systems, more for some than for others, and for different reasons, and it's a nuanced thing, and I don't want to get into like identity politics or anything. Um,
Right.
but yeah, a very complex relationship with money, and like I said, if I were gifted, or if I found my thing tomorrow and was like, that's it, I'm going for it, and had the confidence to back it up, and was rewarded economically, would I be, oh no, ew, no. I mean, of course not. But am I willing to sacrifice my health, my mental health, but all those things? And I think I'm not alone. I think part of what happened after the pandemic is a lot more people were like, this is pointless. I'm working my ass off to not get ahead, to earn somebody else a lifestyle that I can only watch on TV. And I think another thing that came to mind when DDH was talking is, you know I was asked today when my parents got divorced, and I had to think about it. I never knew a time that my parents were together. I never once saw my parents together as a couple. They were separated before I have memory, and that was just normal to me, and I never really thought about the ways that it affected me. But one of the ways that I've been recognizing that it's affected me is I don't know what real relationships, romantic relationships, typically look like. The closest I got was either what I would see at friends' houses when I would go over to their house, whether or not they were healthy relationships or not, or TV. I thought most couples, resolve these big issues within a half hour to an hour and a half. And, those conversations go really well because they're scripted and everybody's very emotionally immature, or very emotionally mature about things, or things are overlooked. And so I didn't know what that was supposed to look like. And because I had kids young, I didn't typically date a lot, or I had very short term relationships that didn't get too deep because I didn't want to bring them around, my kids. And so the first opportunity I really had to sort of explore that, I had no idea what the hell I was doing. I was basing it off of the shows that I watched and the movies that I watched, and real life coupleship. I didn't understand how it was supposed to go, or why it wasn't working the way that I was shown that it's supposed to work.
So what's your positive message real quick? And then we're going to pass the mic.
I once had someone look at me and say, "You deserve to exist." And so my positive message to everybody is, you deserve to exist.
Aw,
It's a good message.
it is a great message.
SGF Graham says you're going to be a manager in the future, Gilly.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you.
For sure. And what's Kendall say? It's a whole bunch.
Okay. Money from Kendall Cobb. Money or fame, I've been there and fully struggled on many levels. No matter where life is, I'm always going to treat others with respect. Once that is mistreated, it's gone. Always remain humble in any situation, even with fame or whatever it may be. I don't care. It's just being myself in all aspects. I see or do on a daily basis, doing the best we can each day. Where I just want to be, where I want the simplistic gestures of kindness, where I just want the rest when needed. Even then,
That's it.
that's it.
So, Tim, what's your positive message?
Reflect unconditional love onto others. Always be somebody that reflects the good things, the way you'd want to be treated. Know that it's okay to be mad and to be what you think is evil at times. It's knowing how to deal with it and making sure that you put it into something positive that's not going to hurt yourself or others. And I think that reflecting onto others and letting them reflect onto you is going to be natural. We need to try to limit the amount of noise that's coming from paid sources around us, and try to find some silence in our life at times.
Yes.
I like that. SGF Graham, what's yours? And Kendall, what's your positive message? And then Henry, what's yours? Why they type theirs?
Ooh, SGF Graham. My words at the end. This is the age of information. It is popular to be you because everybody wants to really know. So stop looking for validation and be the winner you are.
Yes.
It's dope as hell.
Now what's yours?
Kind of similar. I'm gonna go off a completely different direction to a subject we were on earlier and say, don't you worry about the alphas. Don't worry about if you're an alpha or not. That can pertain to anybody. It doesn't have anything to do with being big. The best thing that separates us from the other animals, we don't have teeth and claws. We have a big, beautiful brain, and it's capable of doing a lot of damage if you sharpen that to a razor edge and make yourself cunning. So believe in yourself, be cunning, be badass. Don't worry about mirroring everybody else unless you kind of like what they're wearing or something like that. Keep it trivial.
Keep your hair frizzy.
It is frizzy. Don't point out my split ends.
It's not split ends. It's you had it crimped.
Mhm.
It's crimped. He had it crimped.
It is crimped. It was crimped.
It's
It's
crimped.
still wavy.
It's still real crimpy. I like it too. That's why I said frizzy. It's crimped. So, anyways, be you when no one's around. I love the authentic taste. It doesn't matter what people think. You don't walk in an image for others. Walk in an image for self. Because when you look in the mirror, you only see self. And I think that's the most important person in your world. Because if you didn't exist, neither would your world. And I'm gonna steal that forever because that was gifted to me. And just stay authentic to yourself and treat people the way you want to be treated. So start seeing people the way you want to be seen instead of having those perceptions and whatnot that are not of you from those traits that you picked on from past relationships or past traumas. Remove those and just Start seeing people with discernment, because that's how you want to be looked at. That's what I feel. Love, peace and love. And what did they say?
I don't want to steal the last word from you, but Kendall's going to do it. So, Kendall, just be yourself. It's okay. Embrace hardships.
There you go.
It could end on worse, too.
Thank you for allowing us in your home, your heart, your ears, where your opinion matters. We are the ears that listen. Peace and love, everyone. Have a beautiful, beautiful, blessed night. All right.
Oh, here we go.
Let's get to the bottom of this one. Unspoken truths that I miss one. Tap into the minds of the people. Rather acknowledge before I dismiss one. Atheists, Muslim, Christians, Buddhists, they all got usage. All got perspective. It's a collective. Get to the bottom of the truth is. With our hearts uncovered. Boy, detox from all of the lies you smothered. What I'm trying to have killed you. But with faith you recover. Yeah. Peel off the makeup. We finna take off. Never said it'd be a cakewalk. Meditate till we charged up. Execute goes regardless. Decalcify my pineal. Breaking language barriers, we saw millennials. Planets passing age rotations, down me we owe. So down me we know. Sometimes we can be slow, that's why my ears open. Every drop you add could complete the ocean. Speak up, play your part too. Been vulnerable, it's an art tool. Reflect on all the juice like torture. It's on you, tell the truth.
Yeah, we about to have a good conversation. Yeah, let's go. We about to have a good conversation. Yeah, let's go. We about to have a good conversation. Yeah, let's go. Listen. Yeah, aim in the fit so you see in the mirror. Play with your focus and watch it get clear. Polish your crown, turn it up if you wear it. You live in the root, release what you're fearing. And watch it all rise, the righteous will hear it. They calling us twisted, I'm not even caring. Because it's unseen, the mind is too barren. They won't even heal it, they pass it to cheering. We over here healing, conversing and listening. Know that the truth isn't always appealing, but end it with healing and find your beginning. Frequency positive, what you receiving. Perception is up to you, what you believing. What you retrieving, mentally speaking. Life that they breathing, no words from a heathen. Don't know it all, but together undefeated. Conversation rather want it, you need it. Could fill up your tank before it's depleted. Don't care if you calling on Allah, Jesus, Buddha or Christian, not being facetious. Come to the trial with the students and teachers. All got a voice, we the ears that'll listen. We the ears that'll listen. We the ears that'll listen. Conversation rather want it, you need it. Could fill up your tank before it's depleted. Don't care if you calling on Allah, Jesus, Buddha or Christian, not being facetious. Come to the trial with the students and teachers. All got a voice, we the ears that'll listen. We the ears that'll listen. We the ears that'll listen. Hey. Yeah. We about to have a good conversation. Yeah, let's go. We about to have a good conversation. Yeah, let's go. Praying for truth cause the world is so fickle. Keeping my mental how clean as a whistle. Attention's a trap, they can lead you astray. Steering this ship through the storm and the haze. Real conversations are lost in the greed. Others get lost in the web that it weaves. Sift through the rhetoric, uncover schemes. Knowledge inherited, this is imperative. I got a lot on my mind and I'm sharing it. Apples to oranges, it ain't no comparisons. I'm the type that'll never break character. I'm the type to make memories and cherish them. Trust intuition and doubt of disparity. Pursuing the echoes of wisdom. Chasing that moment of